Welcome to another episode of the Next Go Wins podcast, episode 43?
43.
43? Officially? 43, 7 away from 50.
42 and a half.
Yeah? 42 and a half. You're what? Now I'm confused.
I don't know what episode it is, to be
Well,
honest.
we
George is just
released the last episode a little late.
Oh, yeah. So we just released episode 42 about
2 hours ago.
An hour before we record episode 43. But we are back. We are here. We have West Ham's number one fan, Thomas.
Come on. Moy's out.
Moy's number one fan, Thomas.
It's true. The number one Moyes supporter.
That is true.
I will be leading the show today, so viewership will be up. Statistics will be up. We obviously already know that, so I want to say thank you to everybody. Last time I led was because Javi lost his voice. This time it just seems like Javi's lost all motivation.
He's just lost the plot at
He's
this
just
point.
given up in all things. But we have Javi. See, he can't even talk anymore. Anything you'd like to add, sir?
Statistics are looking good. TikTok is banned, so there goes any chance of us making it big. Because TikTok won't be around in the next week or so. That's all.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
That's
Thanks for
very-
coming.
Yeah.
And last and certainly not least,
I'm only here because this is my house, by the way.
we have Georgie.
I'm here just because I was forced to be here, so that's the only reason why I'm here.
Awesome. Well, at least Thomas and I, it sound like, are excited to be here and be with the rest of y'all. So thank y'all for tuning in, per usual. But we have a lot to talk about today. So in our pre-cap, we have, obviously, the Champions League roundup. FA Cup coming up this weekend. So we have to talk a little bit about that. We obviously also had a lot of Premier League games over the last few days. So we're going to talk about Liverpool, Manchester City, which that was one of my favorite games to watch of the season so far, and all the things that happened in that game. Need to talk about Arsenal on the weekend, as well as in the Champions League. Ramsdale, Raya, both got a start within a week's time frame. We can talk about that. Yeah. Anything I'm missing? No? All right, cool. Oh, yeah. We obviously have our VAR segment, so we have a few things that we might be bringing as well. But
Oh, Georgie's conspiracy theory.
oh,
Continue.
yes. And then Georgie's, we have another section for the Georgie rant. But let's start with the Champions League. Where should we start?
Tuesday. What were the games Tuesday?
Arsenal, Porto, right? Barcelona,
Barca-
Napoli.
Yep.
Barca, Napoli. Those are the two.
Yes, sir. Where
Easy
should we
dub.
start? Where should we start,
Easy dub.
Georgie?
Well,
Obviously, Arsenal walked in very easily to the next round, so should we start with the Barca game?
yeah, I mean, Barca obviously, a lot. I don't know. Barca's they're making one of those. So we've been talking about Xavi out for a while now, but now they're actually starting to come into stride per se. And no matter how many times he gets asked, he keeps saying, "I don't want to be here next year. I'm not going to be here next year." But they're finally finding their stride in the league and in the Champions League. And it's weird because I'm actually happy for that because I don't like Barcelona at all, like ever.
Madrid over Barca
yeah,
for you, huh?
Yeah, so obviously you're usually like it's either you're a Madrid fan or a Barca fan. You can't really, I guess maybe some people like both, but I've always been a Madrid fan over a Barca fan. So, but you need Barcelona to be good in order Real Madrid to be like even like just like you need both teams in La Liga and in the Champions League to make it the whole football world better.
Yeah, because if Barcelona's getting bounced in the
yeah,
group stage, it what Real Madrid does in La Liga doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm happy that obviously Firmin balling out, scoring goal, Rafinha did really well, and just a lot of young players, man. Just really really good young players. The problem is again, you're overplaying these young players, and the injuries are soon to follow at some point. Just like Pedri, just like Frankie.
Yeah.
Just so much in those legs that it just at some point isn't a. I mean, I think their list of injuries is huge already. So, but they got it done, and they move on. So that was the most important thing.
Their list of injuries is long. 1, 2, Torres, De Jong, Gavi, Alonso, Pedri, and Balde. So yeah, pretty big injury.
And those
list.
are key players. It's
Those
not
are
like
all those are all players who would start a good amount of games. So not ideal. But you said they are young. We might even talk about how young they are or they are not a little bit later on because it sounds like there's some birth
Conspiracies.
certificate fudging happening. Thomas, what are your thoughts on Barcelona Napoli? Anything you want to add?
No, not necessarily. Lewandowski. I mean, I think he played great. Everybody says that like because Barcelona's doing so bad, he's not doing anything to contribute, but he's all over the park. I mean, he contributes. That goal. Who ended up scoring that second goal?
Cancelo,
yeah. Rafinha off the post.
On the
So it was the first one then. He could have stepped up and had that.
Oh, yeah,
with the
he let
dummy,
it go.
the great
He might have
dummy,
even just bounced it into the backside of the net there, but leaves it. I mean, his presence is known even if he's not contributing.
And he said he's staying for next year. So
I didn't hear that.
yeah.
Yep, I did see that. Javi, what about you?
I think the good thing for Xavi now is that all the pressure is off ever since he's announced that he's leaving at the end of the season. So I think for him, the frustrating part was anytime it got difficult for them, he was going to get all the shit from the fans. And it got to a point where he obviously said he's leaving at the end of the season. So the good thing now is that all the pressure's off. And which is why I think they've probably been performing better since that happened, because now they don't have to worry about basically wherever they end up in the season or what happens to Xavi or, he should be out or he should be fired, because at the end of the season, regardless, he's out no matter what. So now the question starts coming in that people are saying, well, what's going to happen if they do, if they win the Champions League or if they win La Liga, will he stay? But it's been pretty clear that he said that regardless of whatever happens, he's out. Which is crazy to me because you think he's been at Barcelona how long as a player? Right?
Whole
Like
life,
decades.
right?
Decades, right?
His whole
So
life,
he
yeah.
knows this Barcelona as a player, which he's grown to love, which is obviously enough for him to want to come back and be the manager of the team. But in the 1 year that he's been here as the manager, he wants out.
Sometimes when you love something, Javi, you just have to walk away.
Maybe.
I like that.
I
like that.
You just hit a string with Georgie's emotions all of a sudden.
I love that.
So, so I think it's...
Burn the whole thing. Yeah.
I think there's I don't think they're going to win the Champions League. I think regardless of where they end up, though, it's probably pretty good because now nobody's expecting Barcelona to win it because of some of the other teams that are in. But, there was a little bit of, in that game, I wouldn't say uncertainty, but it got a little nerve-wracking for them. And then when they finally got that last goal to just kind of settle it, then it's good for Xavi, good for Barcelona. But can we talk about the birth certificate situation?
Well, we'll save that. We'll save that to the VAR
conspiracy?
segment.
Right,
How
fair
about that?
enough.
We've got multiple conspiracy
Fair
theories. Georgie's going to go on a rant, so if there's time after Georgie's 37-minute segment, we can give you probably about a minute and a half to talk about that as well. The way I look at it, one of my favorite books ever is 11 Rings, written by the one and only Phil Jackson. If I was a betting man, Xavi's reading not Javi, Xavi.
Actually,
I've been thinking you're over here coaching
I did
Barcelona.
read that book, by the way.
I could see Xavi reading that book, taking Phil Jackson's best practices. He's got the team completely and totally bought into The Last Dance. Watching it on Netflix, but it's impressive what they're doing, especially after being so poor for so long. And I respect that Xavi continues to say he's leaving at the end of the season. Part of me hopes if Arsenal doesn't win the Champions League, it is Barcelona.
Really?
Just to see.
If you would actually.
Because that's like one of those things, like in that moment, what do? Because I would assume most of the fans would say, stay. Because this is the first time Barcelona's won a Champions League knockout round
right?
since Messi left.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it,
and they won the league last year, obviously. So
it's one of those things. I think sometimes people jump so far to the gun, Xavi out. First 2 seasons, if he can deliver you a La Liga title or even a Champions League semifinal or final, which he's only 2 games away from.
Yeah, so semifinal.
What are his reasons for leaving?
The pressure.
People want him out, and yeah.
So if that pressure swings the other direction, it's like, and he feels good again. Too easy.
No chance.
I don't see it.
I think he's a man of principle, so I think he would still leave.
It's
but
perfect.
I would really, really respect him. Like the best thing also he could do for his career is make a great run at this and then still leave. And like them saying stay, and he's like, nope, I promise you I'm leaving. That I think he can then pick up another coaching job. Every game they keep winning sets him up more and more for his next role.
I think it gives him a better. I think if he does well, it makes it easier for him to leave because then he leaves on a good note, knowing what can happen when they don't get good results. So it's one of those, if you stay too long and you overstay your welcome, then it's
Yeah.
going to get bad. So for him, doing well is going to give him more reason to say, I went out on top and now I can go and explore other options. And I think, like I said, ultimately, it's gotten to a point where he's been there so long that he's probably like, I need to do just something different. Is he really going to be there for 30, 40 years as a player and then as a manager? So I think he's probably wants to do something different with his managing career than he did as a player.
Completely understandable.
Two things, though.
he
Two
has something-
things.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched The Last Dance.
Really?
I think I might be
Really?
the only person in this world who has not
Wow.
watched it. Have you watched it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I mean, only sane people watched it.
I'll tell you what, though, The Last Dance, it is very biased.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Well,
Well,
No. But what I'm saying, though, is what I'm
he
saying
was,
is that,
he like helped produce it. So yeah.
yeah, I know. But you could tell, like, after I watched it and I analyzed it a little bit, I was like, there's probably some things. No, there's probably some things that, like, if you heard the other side of the story, you'd think about it differently. But the way that Michael Jordan talks about it is just kind of like...
but that's always with any documentary that
Yeah.
comes out, right? So,
yeah, I know.
100%.
But it was supposed to be more about the Bulls rather than it was supposed to be about Michael Jordan, right? It was his impact on those Bulls, but it was more about the team at the end, finalizing or cementing their place in history and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just talked through his perspective.
And the second point, Barca are nowhere near able to win the Champions League.
They're still
I
in
mean,
it.
you never know,
They've,
but you know.
they probably won't
Yeah.
win it.
Yeah, they
but it's
won't.
one of those things that all of a sudden they get through. Like if they get an easy draw, they get through the next round.
Yeah.
One game can change anything.
Speaking of the draws tomorrow,
yes, the draw is tomorrow, which will be exciting.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about obviously Xavi being out. One coach who's probably not going anywhere, hopefully for a very, very long time. The one and only Mikel Arteta, giving Arsenal a Champions League knockout victory as well for the first time in a very long time.
first time in 14 years.
It's crazy to think.
That's
Crazy to think.
insane. I did not. When I saw that 2010 was the last time,
Yeah.
I was like, "There's no way Arsenal have been out
And you know the last team
for
we beat?
that long."
Porto.
Was it?
And there's a picture of Pepe
Crazy.
standing next to Thierry Henry when Thierry Henry
saw that.
scores, and Pepe standing next to Trossard when he scores. Behind
That's funny.
the photos taken from behind the exact same post. It's like eerily creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also obviously a good thing for Pepe too, just for how long he stayed around and been relevant and continues to do well. But that was a very nervy game. What were your all's thoughts on that? We'll go to Thomas first, the Arsenal fan, the closet Arsenal fan, because I know
Yeah.
you.
North London.
Cheer
Actually,
for-
all of London is claret and blue. So, I didn't get to watch the game. I was on a flight.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
I watched the highlights afterwards.
Well, thanks for coming then, Thomas. Appreciate it.
It
Cool.
was good. Thanks, guys.
it's been fun. Well, Thomas is. We'll keep Thomas around. Javi, did you watch the game?
Absolutely, I did. So they're playing at home, which I thought it was going to be a lot easier for Arsenal than it was. Porto made it
Wait.
extremely
Your prediction
difficult.
was 4 or 5, right?
I can't remember my prediction, but I'm pretty sure I told you guys that it was going to be an easy win
Yeah.
because I thought Arsenal would just smash them, or like they'd score one goal early, and then from there it would just be second, third, whatever. Porto made it really difficult for us. But going back to the Pepe, that picture was crazy. If you look at that picture, it's like they're both standing in the exact same spot.
Yeah.
The goal is scored from the exact same angle.
Henri was on the ground.
That's literally like the one difference is
Yeah.
that Henry was on the ground and Trossard standing up.
Porto did a good job, man. It shows you how much experience can help you, especially in the Champions League, right? We talk about Real Madrid and how no matter how bad they're doing in La Liga, when it comes to Champions League, they're almost impossible to beat.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with players like Pepe, who might not be physically as fast as some of the younger guys, and you're playing against an Arsenal team with lots of young players.
Mm-hmm.
But just understanding your positioning, understanding how to manage those types of games takes you such a long way. I thought the guy who was defending Saka, I can't remember his name, but he had a great game. Saka couldn't get past him at all during the entire match. And ultimately, what it took for Arsenal to break through is when a team is defending so well organized like that, it takes individual talent, like brilliance, to be able to get past that. And Odegaard's ball to Trossard for the goal. I swear, I've told Georgie this a million times. I'm gonna say it right now. I'll say it right now. I'm not.
Oh
I am
my!
not afraid.
No, please, we're gonna get
I
canceled.
am not afraid to say this. No, I'm partly joking. Obviously, I'm partly joking.
You should be fully joking.
I'm partly joking. No, I was just joking. And Georgie screenshotted our text messages where I said Odegaard is miles ahead of Stevie G after that pass, and then I got roasted on Twitter.
I can read some of the comments
I have
too.
been backing Odegaard since he joined Arsenal. I thought he was one of those players that got overlooked, maybe because he was a player that was hyped up so much, and then he didn't live up to his expectations at Real Madrid, so a lot of teams just kind of overlooked him. But when Arsenal picked him up, I was like, this is exactly the type of player we need. Such a smart player on like vision wise, technically good enough to be able to do whatever he wants to do with the ball. And he plays that pass that literally the weight of the pass is perfect, but also the placement of the pass. It was literally like half an inch away from the defender's foot to be able to cut it off. And it slices and dices through those defenders, gets it to Trossard, and Trossard obviously has a really good finish. But Odegaard just keeps impressing me more and more. Trossard has become so consistent. And I'll give the credit to Joe, his boy Kai. Kai has been playing so well lately that, like in every match that he plays in, he's very effective. Not just in the Champions League, obviously in regular league play, but so far, everyone has been playing extremely well. And even Raya had a really good game.
Man of the match.
Yeah.
Man of the match.
That debate has been settled. We had 3 or 4 podcasts where we kept debating Raya versus Ramsdale, Raya versus
But it was
Ramsdale.
never a debate.
It was a debate at the beginning.
Raya was always going to be number one.
No,
but
we didn't know that.
Yeah, we did. You
No,
don't.
we
You don't
didn't know
bring
that.
in
You
a
Arteta
coach.
wanted him to be number one.
Yeah.
But I think you were one of the people who said
No,
Ramsdale's better.
I'll take Ramsdale right now. I
Same.
will still take Ramsdale right now with the confidence and everything. That's a
I
different
think
topic.
at least I appreciate Georgie. Even when he's like wrong, he won't admit he's wrong.
No,
He will die with
listen,
his.
no, no,
he will
no.
That's
die
like
with
admitting
his,
that
he will die
backup
with his
goalkeeper for
takes.
Liverpool is better than
Moyes out.
No, the one that had
Gallagher?
No. The one in the Champions League final that is now
Karius?
Karius. That's like saying Karius. You take Karius over Alisson.
You just compare Karius to Ramsdale?
Yeah, because of the mistakes that he's been making lately.
Bro.
You're telling me
Ryan makes the same mistakes
No,
just
no,
versus
no.
Chelsea. He didn't get punished in the beginning of the season.
that's the difference, though.
Oh,
Eventually, if you don't get punished, no. But
no.
If your mistake is bad enough,
Wait. No. You're always
You
the
can't
one.
compare. You can't compare the mistake he made against Chelsea compared to what Ramsdale did against
No.
Brentford. This is
You
not
are
even-
one
that's
of the
not same.
people that always tells me you cannot make a mistake and make up for it and you get the credit for it.
I'm not giving them the credit for it. I'm just saying, Ramsdale, when's the last time you saw Raya do that? Kick the ball into the guy and then the guy scores.
Listen, there's a huge difference that I don't know why it's being overlooked. Of course, if you're going to bring in a goalkeeper, you're bringing in a goalkeeper from Brentford. You're bringing the goalkeeping coach. After Ramsdale did so amazing last year, got you second place, made amazing saves. He's not as good as like on the ball with his feet. However, you do that to a player that's a starter, gets into the England team, you destroy his confidence, you tell him that he's not going to play, you don't have those conversations, and then you destroy, like, his confidence is completely rocked.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're overlooking the fact that, especially for a goalkeeper, we're not talking about a player that comes in 10, 15 minutes. We're talking about a goalkeeper that didn't even get time in the League Cup or FA Cup
Yeah, but
or
that's not
any
what
of
we're
those games.
debating, though.
We are, because you can't
No. What
compare
I'm saying is-
Ramsdale of last year to Raya this year. That's a fair comparison. You can't
Right,
compare.
but that's what we were comparing at the beginning when
Yeah.
Raya first came in.
Yes.
So I'm not comparing the fact that Arteta wanted, whether he wanted or whether who he thought was going to be the number one. It was what the general public thought. Like, that's what we were debating at first. Like, we knew that
Yeah, Raya
Raya was his number one.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't the debate. The debate was who really was the better goalkeeper. And a lot of people, it was hard for them to see it because they're like, why the hell are you replacing a goalkeeper that was such a good part of last year's team that almost won the league with another goalkeeper?
Also-
doesn't make sense.
Also, I think the hardest thing for like the general public, as far as they're concerned, is like, why was it replaced? Why was Raya just thrown in to the Wolves, given all these opportunities, even though Ramsdale was still at the point on top of his game?
Yeah.
He
National call-up.
didn't fall off the cliff yet.
So I think that was the debate, was like whether Raya was going to be a mistake and like Arteta was eventually going to realize like, shit, I should have just kept Ramsdale, or whether he was right, which it's maybe you're right in the fact that like his confidence is a huge reason why he hasn't been
But
performing.
even you have to look at
And now
those.
it's
Even
clear
just
that
look at the
Raya's the number one.
statistics of this year compared to last year, and like what Raya is doing and what the team is doing with Raya in goal compared to Ramsdale. Raya's leading the Premier League in clean sheets, and he's played less games than everybody. He can't play 2 of the games against Brentford, and he didn't play for the first, 3 or 4 weeks of the season.
Also have Declan Rice sitting in the center of the park.
Okay, that helps, but at the same time, are we, as Arsenal all of a sudden now, just the best, just because of Declan Rice, the best defensive team, when there's a good chunk of the games, and arguably I think when we play the best is when Declan Rice isn't playing the 6 and Jorginho's playing the pivot and Declan Rice is further forward. And no offense to Jorginho, he's not known for his amazing tackling and protecting the back four. He makes great decisions and makes sure that he doesn't turn the ball over, which helps and kind of does that unintentionally. But I was looking at a stat about Raya compared to every other goalie in the Prem, and he, on crosses that are crossed into his box, he smothers the cross and gets possession 15% of the time. The closest other goalie in the league to him is 11%. And if you think about Arsenal, we don't really give up many chances at all. And watch us. We don't play this weekend because our game's postponed, but watch the next game that we play.
City.
And look for when crosses are sent into the box, especially in the air, how often he comes out and gets it and how easily he does. Not to mention the fact, let's talk about this penalty save this man had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He went the same way every single time, I think.
What do you mean? After the first one where they scored, Raya dove past the post. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Listen, I'm not saying Raya is a
Yeah, he was
terrible
fully committed to
goalkeeper,
going that way.
but what I'm saying is we're talking about Ramsdale's mistake. Yes, against Brentford, huge mistake, no doubt. But we're basing that mistake, and we're saying Raya is so much better because of that mistake, and that's the reason why he's playing. No, Raya made literally the same mistake. Raya had the ball in the beginning of the season, give it away to whoever you guys were playing in the Champions League. They scored on you guys.
Lens, yeah.
And then he did it in the home game as well. And then he did it against Chelsea, where was it Cole Palmer or whoever missed the goal. So it's not like we're saying that.
I'm not saying Raya's perfect.
But that's what I'm saying. Imagine if Ramsdale,
he doesn't give up goals and he wins games.
What you can't say he doesn't. He does give up goals though. We're just talking about the Lens game. He gave up.
Sorry, he gives up less goals than every other goalie and wins games.
What I'm saying is we're saying Ramsdale is not good enough for Arsenal because of that mistake against Brentford. When Raya's been doing that,
I'm saying those mistakes and those in positioning. I know you guys are talking about the Tony save. Those are Ramsdale is an amazing shot stopper. And he's actually I actually think he's a lot better at distribution than people give him credit for. People say Raya is so much better with his feet. I think he's better, but I don't think it's that drastic. To me, Ramsdale struggles in his positioning and decision making. Obviously, the Brentford one. What game was it? Remember when he made 2 or 3 mistakes? It might have been.
Yeah, it was
Brentford. It might have been the Brentford the first time when he did the throw. Remember the half throw?
Yeah.
We threw the ball into the ground. Again, it could be confidence. It could be.
It's definitely confidence though.
But even at the beginning of the season, I think about the game against Fulham. The first goal that they score is Ramsdale's fault. Yes, Saka turns the ball over. It's when Saka tried to play the ball back to whoever, and then literally they got the ball and shot it from 25 yards away, and Ramsdale's backpedaling and completely out of position.
Let me ask you this though: you're talking about out of position. The Ivan Toney from let's say half.
It was 40 yards out.
Yeah, 40 yards out. You said that Ramsdale was not in the best position for that.
Mm-hmm.
He makes a great save.
He does make a great save.
What about the first game, Porto Champions League, away, where Arsenal got scored on? The guy was 30 yards out, chips Raya.
He was not 30 yards out. He didn't chip Raya.
It wasn't a chip. It was a curling, but
it was a good shot. But
Raya was out of position.
I will say he wasn't in a great position.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. You can't. We're looking at Ramsdale in 2 games out of 40, and we're basing it off on the 2 mistakes. And then we have Raya, who's given the confidence by the manager. It's like me telling you, you're my starting goalkeeper. You're going to be the number 1. You're shit, pretty much. Thank you for everything you did last year, but you're going to be sitting on the bench, even though you just got called up to a national team. And then you're stuck like shit.
Yeah, the problem is this, though. The problem is, I agree with you. Ramsdale's he's got a huge disadvantage because he's playing against the one guy who makes the decisions about who plays is clearly not on his side. The problem is that if he's only going to play 2 games in the last however many games, if he's only going to play 2, and he makes bad mistakes in both of those games, obviously that looks a lot worse than Raya,
of course.
who's playing 20, 30 plus games and makes 2 or 3 of those same mistakes across that same time. So yeah, if you say Ramsdale, it's okay, you're going to get 10 games for sure, guaranteed. Of course, he's going to make a couple of those mistakes, but then the remaining games he's probably going to play pretty well.
Yeah.
But that's just the problem, is that now the only thing we have to compare to Raya for Ramsdale is those 2 games where he's made those mistakes. So naturally, he's going to look worse than Raya because he doesn't have as many games.
And also, I think whether he makes those mistakes in those 2 games or not, he was always going to be out. Like, it was never, I don't think it was ever a question of.
No, I will say those mistakes, though, if anything, they just help.
Ease you.
They help, I think, ease a lot of people's thoughts. I think because there was a split camp. A lot of people even look at us arguing about it now. Split camp and who should start. The more that Ramsdale does those types of things, the more Raya can put in those types of performances. I think
definitely
the more it settles it. But we have been told we spend a lot of extra time on Liverpool and Arsenal, so we are going to do a hard stop.
Nah, but that's a good topic.
Arsenal.
That's a good topic, though.
But we only have one fan, and he made a request. We got to honor that request, all right?
I'm just a man of the people, you know?
So Chelsea
Go straight to Chelsea so we can keep him listening to this podcast.
We can't, sadly, because we're talking about the Champions League, and Chelsea's not in it. So pivoting to the games on Wednesday, we had Atleti Inter, Dortmund PSV.
Yeah, another good game.
Yeah.
I had the split screen of both. Just both amazing games. I mean, chances after chance after chance. Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan were dominating for a lot of the game. Then they made some changes. Atletico took over. Then they made some changes, and that didn't really go too well. And then the last second of the game, Riquelme had a perfect opportunity pretty much on the penalty spot to put the game away. And obviously, he skied her over. And then you have Oblak as a goalkeeper, which is a huge help. Which is like a cheat code when it comes to penalty kicks. So there you go. Atletico Madrid moves on, and if I was any team in the Champions League, I would not want to play Atletico Madrid.
I was literally just having this conversation with somebody at work. He's a Bayern fan, and we were talking about like who do you want in the draw, and we both agreed like Atletico is one of those teams right now you don't want to play.
Yeah, but
just in general in the Champions League, they have experience with it. They have a lot of people that have done well they have multiple World Cup winners in Rodrigo, De Paul, and Griezmann on the team. Like, they have people that have won in different areas. That's not somebody I want to play in a tournament like that.
If you look at the remaining teams, there's not a single team you want to play.
Yeah, it's actually great.
That's the crazy part. You have Bayern Munich, you have Barcelona, you have Real Madrid, you have Manchester City, Atletico Madrid, Arsenal. Who else do you have left?
PSG and Dortmund.
PSG and Dortmund.
So I would rather play. I'll give you my order. Bayern Munich.
It's not that easy.
I'm trying to think of the teams. Bayern Munich, I would want to play. Dortmund, I would want to play just because. PSG, I would want to play.
And then Atletico.
No,
right. So you're going from the bottom up.
Barca.
Weakest to strongest.
Yeah, Barca. And then it would probably be Atletico, City, Arsenal. Who else is there?
That's it, I think.
That's Real Madrid.
Right? Real Madrid's top. Like, I would not.
Right, no, but you're saying, like, I wouldn't want that team in the draw, but then there's still 3 teams above them that you wouldn't want either.
Yeah.
And also, who are you representing when you say, like, this is who I wouldn't want?
Ooh, that's a clean shot.
What do you mean?
Like, are you with, I don't know, are you with Dortmund when you're saying, like...
Yeah, I mean, anyone. Like, if I'm an Arsenal fan, I wouldn't want to play Atletico Madrid. I would rather play I would rather play Barcelona than Atletico Madrid.
Okay, if you were Atletico Madrid, who would you think that you wouldn't want to play?
If I was Atletico Madrid, I would not want to play the other 3 teams. Man City,
Real Madrid,
and Arsenal. Yeah. I would not want to play those 3.
Champions League, it's setting up pretty well. It's setting up pretty well, I think, for a great run in here.
Any game is interesting now.
Yeah.
However, I do... Oh, God, please, Arsenal City, please make it happen. Please, Arsenal City, please.
In the final?
No, he just wants them to play so that they can...
I want them to play 3 times in the matter of like a month. Destroy each other's legs, please. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Helps Liverpool.
It does help when Liverpool's over here playing Sparta.
Let's go. Probably West Ham.
Come on. Thomas, Javi, anything either of you would like to add about the Dortmund, PSV, or Atleti Inter game?
I was in Vegas at that point. So.
Oh, my...
Yeah, I missed this week.